supermarkets and mini-marts is concerned that freight charges could become more expensive as the COVID-19 situation intensifies. Customers are already complaining about prices. Sales are also down by about 20%. This supermarket continues to import Indian vegetables like this brinjal for customers that prefer its more tender and less fibrous bite. But moving forward, it's looking to import more from other countries like these brinjals from Malaysia for vegetables that can be up to 3 times cheaper. Already, Mr. Ramalingan has cut vegetable imports from India by almost 30%. Another stall has also been hit with not just pricier, but late imports.
These clay pots and all that comes from Delhi. We expected the stocks to come in by December, but unfortunately, it also came just now.
Products like cooking utensils and health supplements are in short supply.
If you look at raw material prices actually increased because there has been a very shortage of production. Due to COVID, a lot of factories are only working like only 50% of the capacities. And also, due to that, it's a chain reaction. We have cut down a lot of our profits to maintain the prices as much as possible. But of course, with maybe about 10 to 20% increase in price.
Worried about further delays, Mr. Rajakumar says stalls in Little India are already ordering for Deepavali, which is more than 6 months away. And the resulting advance payments are putting even more stress on already tight purse strings.
Singapore reported 15 new COVID-19 cases, including one in the community. The sole community case is a 39-year-old Singapore permanent resident. He's a systems engineer with Parkway Pantai and has been working from home. Authorities say he returned from a trip to India in January and served a stay-home notice at a dedicated facility. He was tested negative during his SHN and subsequently detected positive during a pre-departure test in preparation for another trip. His serology test came back positive and results show he could be shedding minute fragments from a past infection and is no longer infectious. The case is currently unlinked. The remaining 14 cases are all imported. They include 2 permanent residents who returned from India. 1 is a work permit holder from Indonesia. 7 are work pass holders from countries like Luxembourg, Nepal and the Netherlands. The remaining 4 are various pass holders from the UAE and India. All were placed on stay-home notice upon arrival. Meanwhile, 36 more people have been discharged. That brings the number who have fully recovered to 60,576. 204 are isolated at community facilities. 70 are still in hospital, with 1 in critical condition. 30 people have died from complications due to COVID-19. The national tally now stands at 60,880. The roommate of a positive dormitory case reported on Tuesday has also tested positive for COVID-19. This, along with 10 other recovered workers at the Westlight Woodlands dormitory. In a statement just released, the Manpower Ministry says COVID-19 tests were conducted on all residents at the dormitory after the 35-year-old migrant worker tested positive during a rostered routine testing. The 11 migrant workers at the dormitory were immediately isolated and conveyed to the National Centre for Infectious Diseases to investigate for possible reinfection. The ministry says it's currently investigating the cases together with the Health Ministry, and more information will be shared later. Still to come, the U.S. Justice Department is set to investigate policing in Minneapolis following the conviction of former police officer Derek Chauvin for the murder of George Floyd. A stern warning from Russia: any foreign provocation will be dealt with harshly.
Bhinneka Tunggal Ika, or Unity in Diversity, Indonesia's national motto, It's mind-boggling to think that Indonesia's founding fathers had the audacity to unite 500 ethnic groups across this huge archipelago. But it is precisely its diversity that made Indonesia what it is. Rich in every sense of the word, and unique in many aspects.
Tiny island in a tough neighborhood.
International relations for a small country like Singapore is absolutely crucial.
50 years ago, countries of Southeast Asia were in conflict with one another. 50 years hence, we live in a security community within ASEAN family.
Singapore is more than just a busy port. It's a leading capital for the maritime world.
The construction of the integrated resorts at Marina Bay Sands and Sentosa Island was a game changer for Singapore.
This represents the Singapore story, our dream, that we created something from nothing.
This is my home, only I can protect it.
In 1977, we took air travel to a whole new level when it comes to exclusivity.
Four Singaporeans go back in time to search for more answers from Singapore's past.
What was the experience on the Concorde like? The pilots can actually see the curvature of the Earth. Oh, wow. Yeah.
From tracking down a legendary white crocodile.
We have here the only mention of white crocodile, Buaya Putih, in the Straits of Singapore.
There's this element of, what's the truth there?
To uncovering what used to lie under an iconic building.
This green building here is very curious.
What we are looking at is the full extent of Kampung Glam, actually.
What else lies forgotten in the vault of time?
In the early days, we just walked into a shop to buy a gun. Wait, so back then, people could keep guns at home? Oh, here, guns at home. My father was a gun owner.
Into the Vault 3, premiering 5th May, Wednesday on CNA.
There's still apprehension on how the one country, two systems political system will continue to evolve. But it's the resilience of the people, holding on to their culture proudly, and strong institutions all help to make Hong Kong what it is today, and the hope of a better tomorrow. Roland Lim, CNA, Hong Kong.
Updating tonight's top stories, sweeping legislation to boost the United States' ability to counter China is expected to be advanced in the U.S. Senate. Members of the U.S. Senate Foreign Relations Committee will debate the Strategic Competition Act of 2021 before deciding whether to send it for a vote. Search and rescue operations are ongoing for an Indonesian submarine that's disappeared off the north coast of Bali with 53 crew members on board. At least 22 patients have died after an oxygen tank leak at an Indian hospital. The incident comes as authorities grapple with a severe shortage of oxygen due to COVID-19. Russian police have detained at least 200 supporters of Kremlin critic Alexei Navalny as protests continue across Russia. The demonstrations come shortly after Russian President Vladimir Putin delivered his annual State of the Nation address. Julia Chapman joins us near one of the rallies in Moscow. Julia, what has been happening at these protests and what exactly do they hope to achieve?
Well, these protests have been organized by supporters of Alexei Navalny, the opposition figure who remains in prison, currently in his third week of a hunger strike over what he says is inadequate medical treatment. He's been experiencing a lack of sensation in his extremities as well as acute back pain, and his doctors have been blocked from seeing him in prison. He's been moved to a prison medical facility, and the prison officials say his health is satisfactory, but his personal doctors believe that not to be the case. They say he could be in a critical condition. They've seen copies of his blood work and are very concerned that he may be in imminent danger. And so with his declining health, his allies have ordered these protests to be held across Russian cities today. They started in the far east of Russia earlier today and are now getting underway here in Moscow. We've seen thousands of people across the country taking part in these rallies. And so far, the authorities seem to be taking a lighter approach to the policing of these protests. There have been fewer arrests than we often see. There are about 300 people detained nationwide so far. We haven't seen any arrests here in Moscow yet, but we've had to move a little bit away